Hi guys, welcome to Charities Baba USA, your number one channel. Today I am rocking a heart here. That means that I am going to talk about a different subject other than the pathways that we use to immigrate to the US, guys. So I need you to listen to this because I'm talking in relations to the fires that have been breaking in high schools in Kenya, just to see what is going on with the children and what is going on with the parents, and like what changed, or just even an overview of how it was when I grew up. When I grew up and when I was young. So this is Charities Baba USA, your number one channel. Thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. If you are new to this channel, kindly consider subscribing. I am overwhelmed by your support, guys. We are just near the door to 3,000 subscribers, and I need your support, guys. So kindly consider subscribing. Always consider giving my video a thumbs up. Always consider even just a comment, even giving a compliment, asking a question. It goes a long way, guys, and I always do appreciate your effort. I don't know if my light is good. I hope that my light is good over there. Now, guys, I want to talk about the fires that have been going on in high schools, and just just to give an overview. When I of how I grew up. When I grew up, we lived in a different world, whereby you find that we had to be answerable to everything that we were doing. And when we were growing up, children were to be seen; they were not to be heard. So we didn't have much to give as an opinion, and we went with what our elders were saying. If your parents said this is what was to be done, it was either their way or the highway. So you had to like to follow the rules. And even going to school, I remember it used to be so bad because sometimes there was this day that the teachers had made a meeting and all of us would be beaten up. I remember there was a time, I think I was in class 6, and they called all of us. We had 4 streams of classes, and all of us were beaten up by different teachers. We could be beaten up on our bottoms, others beat us on our heels, others beat us on our thighs, others beat us even in our steps. And I try to remember that day, like what we had done, and I don't remember what we had done because I know some of us used to suffer innocently, but at those days you could not question. Those were the days that children did not have so much. I remember when I was growing up, my first pair of shoe, I wore it when I was in for class 8. Remember, I was talking to my friend, my best friend, my young when I was very little, and I think we were talking about when we used to go to school without shoes. And when we would go to the bathroom, because there were those kids from rich families, they had shoes. So we had to take turns to wear that particular person's shoes so that we could get into the toilet. Actually, not the toilet, the latrine, because the latrine was very soggy and it was not very clean. And oh my gosh, those conditions were not so good. But I think that is what made us. That is what made us at that time, because there were very, very strict rules that were imposed, and you could not question anything. You could not question anything. So I was thinking and looking at those days and looking at these days, especially what's going on in Kenya, like those fires that are going on in the dormitories. I also remember if we were in high school and someone led a strike, they would be expelled to the school completely. There was no compromise. That person, I remember there was a strike when I was in Form 3, and there was a series of strikes. I think they were like 3, and people were rebelling because at that time our headmistress, we had a very, very, very good headmistress. And if you were in Kamboi Girls High School at my time, those ladies who were in Kamboi High School at my time, they are very, very strong ladies, and some of them are very, very successful. So when I sit here and I talk about it, I am very proud that that lady was my headmistress. So I remember she got sick, When she got sick, she was hospitalized. So I think the whole school was kind of in a shock. And then the students started reacting, and there was a series of strikes. Actually, there were three strikes. But let me tell you, every time that people striked, the person who had led the strike would be expelled. They would be expelled, and I remember they used to use divide and rule, whereby they would call a group of people, and everybody would be interrogated differently to see if they knew who was leading the strike. So it was, oh my goodness, it was like the military. It was so strict, and I think those strict rules are what made us, and those strict rules are what are making us even to succeed in our areas of life. Now, I want to talk to that child in Kenya. I want to talk to that parent in Kenya. And when I sit here, I have my own children that I try to raise to my best. But, parenting can be very challenging. It can be very, very challenging. But we want to know what kind of parents are we having nowadays? Have we become so permissive? Have we let down our guard as parents? And is it why our kids are reacting that way? Because you find that now, I'm not going to talk so much about the US system, because the US system is a little bit different, and it has different dynamics. But I want to talk about our African ties there back at home, and what changed. Because I remember just before I went to high school, we used to have this guy. He used to have money. And I remember the daughter was late for school. One morning, the daughter was late for school. And that daughter was beaten up by the teacher. Because if you were late in the morning, I remember the teacher standing at the gate. And if the bell rang and you were late, you would have whips on your hands or on your bottoms. And then you would go to class where with tearly eyes, you were just crying, but they just didn't care, because they knew the importance of someone showing up early in school. So I remember, so this teacher had beat up this little girl, and then the dad came to school, and he was so furious, and he beat up that teacher. We had not seen something like that. And I think at that time, looking at it and thinking about it and seeing how things have evolved in Kenya up to where it has reached that the teachers cannot discipline the kids in the right way. I'm not talking about that it has to be corporal punishment. It doesn't need to be corporal punishment, but there has to be some way of punishment that has to be instilled in the children, because even the Bible says when you spare the rod, you spoil the child. So when the person who wrote the Bible, they were not stupid when they were writing and saying that, because you find that even in a normal setting, if you are growing some plants, you're growing maybe a fence, you want to grow a fence, you find that if you do not trim it very well, if you do not align it very well, you find that that fence is not going to be straight. It is going to be a little bit crooked. It's going to be crooked. So you find that even a tree, if you plant a tree, you find that sometimes if you see that your tree is not growing straight, there are those little like fences and those little strings that are put so that that tree can be straight. Or even if you have been in a tomato plantation, whereby you find that when tomatoes are being grown, they do not have the strength to stand up by themselves. So this farmer has to go putting sticks on every plant, and then putting a string and attaching there at the top, so that that potato plant can be upright. That is how I see our children. Unless we are able to put those I'm trying to look for the right word. Unless we are able to put those guides, that trail for that plant or that child to grow up, that's why you find that there's a lot of rebellion. There's a lot of kids not even doing the right thing. There's a lot of fires going on in high school. There's a lot of young children who are involving themselves in theft. Others are involving themselves in criminal activities. But where have we failed as parents? As parents, where have we failed? So I'm going to talk about like 4 types of parents so that you can see where do you fit as a parent and what are you doing that maybe you can improve. Sometimes it's hard. You cannot tell someone how to parent their children. You cannot do that, but you can only like guide and just give your overview. I like to give my opinion on stuff, so that's why I'm talking about this, because I know that at our time we were not permitted to do many things. There were so many restrictions. Oh my goodness, there were so many restrictions. I remember when I was little, when I was little, and I hope that person is watching this video because he can remember very well. I remember I was standing at a gate of a church. I was class 8. I will never forget that day. And when you're in class 8, your body is still growing. You don't know what's going on. And then I was just standing because I remember we used to live at my grandmother's home, and next to my grandmother's house there used to be a church. So I was just standing there minding my business, and then there came this young man. He was just a neighbor, and then he just came and said hi to me. He just said hi, and then I said hi back. But when I said hi back, I remember my aunt saw me. So when my aunt saw me saying hi back, she went and told my grandmother. And then my grandmother told my mother. So I started being beaten by my grandmother, and then I was beaten up by my mother, and then I was beaten up by my aunts. So at that time, I think about that incident even as a parent and as a grown up. I see even lack of knowledge from the parent side, because when someone says hi to you and you don't even know, I didn't even know like boyfriend and girlfriend, what the hell that was. I didn't know all that, but simply because a boy had said hi to me, I was beaten like almost to death. I was beaten almost to death. So that's how bad it was. It was that bad. So I see I'm going to talk about 4 types of parents, and you can see where do you fit as a parent with your kids. So we have the first type of parent is an authoritarian parent. An authoritarian parent doesn't give a damn. He or she does not care. They don't care. You have to follow their rules. What they say is what is to be done to the T. And that is how our parents were. They were authoritarian parents. Those parents who say you do this, if you don't do it, there are those consequences that are going to be very bad, that are going to happen to you. So you find that those were the kinds of parents that we had. They didn't care. They did not. If they said that you were to come from school, and then after school, you were, excuse me, we had responsibilities. Whereby from school, you had to go and fetch water from the river. From fetching water from the river, you had to come and feed the cows and the goats. From there, you had to go and cook. You had to do all these chores, and you had to do your homework. I remember you had to do your homework. I remember just even you have to do all this work, and then your homework came last. And because you had to finish your homework, because when you went to school without having finished homework, you'd be beaten up. So you didn't want that to happen. So what we did is that because you were very sleepy and you're very tired, we would put our feet on the on a basin of cold water so that you do not fall asleep. So that you can finish this homework, because it was not good at home and it was not good in school, because if you did not finish the chores at home, your parent was waiting for you to beat you up. If you did not finish your homework, the teacher was another military person. So at those times we had those authoritarian figures that they did not care. There were rules, and rules were to be followed. It was like military school. That's how we were brought up, I remember. And when I look at that time, and I look at this time, because I have my siblings who live back in Kenya, and they have kids. I also have friends who have kids, and we have discussions, and they tell me that it has changed. It has really changed. And even talking to your own child and telling them even just a simple thing, a simple task, they will not listen. They will not listen. So what kind of parents? So I'm talking about different kinds of parents so that we can understand. Where are you? Because at that time, our parents, They did not even, they didn't even care whether you were crying. They didn't even care whether you felt bad. It was either you follow their rules or you get out. You know what I mean? So it was that bad. Hmm? So that is the first type. What happened to that authoritative parenting? Where did it go to? Hmm? Because at that time, I think there were very less strikes. Like, oh my gosh, there were very less strikes. There are those things like banning of schools and all those bad things that are happening. You know, there was this other case that I was looking at, that boys had broken into a girls' high school. Hmm? A girls' high school, and they were aiming for the dormitories. Hmm? I read that story online and I was shocked. Hmm? I remember when we were in high school, and our school had been surrounded by a coffee plantation, and nobody could come near the fence of the school. Nobody. Hmm? I remember we used even to go to cross country, and when we went to cross country, the teachers would be following us, and sometimes we would go for ourselves, by ourselves, and even you could not even buy a sweet on the road, because of we were always, it's like in the military school that we had a pathway that we were following, and you had to follow that path, and if you strayed, you could face the consequences, guys. So that is the kind of parents, and that is the kind of teachers that we had at that time. So I wonder, do you fall into that category, guys? So this is Charity's Bubble USA, your #1 channel. I'm just trying to talk about different kinds of parenting ways, and I'm also going to talk about how maybe you can try to see and try to parent your child so that they can be successful. And I have a question for you guys here, and I need you to make it on my comment section. I have a drink here. A drink here now. I need you to tell me if this is juice, or if what do you think this is? You tell me what it is. Put it in the comment section, guys, and we'll see who gets it right. Now, let me talk about the other kind of parent. So I talked about the authoritarian, the one that doesn't give a damn. It's either you do their way or the highway. That's it. Now, we have the other kind of parent is authoritative parent. Now, this parent, they are they consider feelings of their kids. They explain what they are doing. They explain the consequences, and they explain why the rules have to be imposed. They explain. And I think that is I see that as the parenting way of the Americans, because here in the US, you find that before you impose your rules, you have to explain them to your children, and you tell them the consequences. Like, you have to tell them what is the importance of cleaning your room. What is the importance of doing your homework? What is the importance of just even especially the teenagers? What is the importance of you taking care of your body? You know, what is the importance of you not engaging into sex when you are young? You see, what are the consequences that would come if you go against what the parent is telling you? That is an authoritative parent. Like, they are considering the feelings. Sometimes they are ready even to listen to whatever, but to listen to their kids. They put them into consideration. That is really very practiced here in the US. You find that when you're dealing with your kids, you have to listen to them. You have to meet them somewhere on the way. You don't have to meet them halfway. Listen to them, tell them these are the consequences if you do not do the right thing. You know, that is the kind of, it's a dialogue way of between a parent and a child that happens around here. So are you that kind of parent whereby you are able to discuss with your parents? Because when we grew up, there was nothing like that. Even right now, you find that for me, it's hard even at my age, and I am a parent, for me, like, to start an argument with my mother. I would not do that. Like, you know, when she tells me this is what I want, I just do it, because, you know, she's a parent, and that's how I was brought up. But you find that in this kind of parent, you find that there's that dialogue that goes on between the child and the parents. So I think I don't know if that's what's happening, and maybe the kids think that they still have a right, because that one is different from the first one that I talked about. Because the first one that I talked about, the child does not have any space, even to argue, even to give an opinion. But here, the children can give their opinions, but there are consequences. Because the parent has explained, if you do not do this, this is what you get. And even after you are being punished, after you punish your child, you ask them, why were you punished? So there is that dialogue that is going on, and you find that this kind of parents are investing a lot of time, a lot of energy to prevent behavior problems, because kids will always have behaviors. They will always have behaviors, and even if you want to bring them up like you want to bring it up like ignoring those behaviors are always there. With stages. I watch my kids because I have 4 children, and my children are different stages. And I have an adult child. I have a child who is a preteen right now. I have a 5-year-old and I have a 2-year-old. So I look at their behaviors and I see what I saw in my adult child is like it's replaying itself with every child. The way they are evolving, the way the years are going, the same thing, the same problems that I faced with this one who is older is the same cycle that's going on with my kids. So you find that you can fail in the first one, but you find that in the second one, you learn better, and you are able to correct these mistakes. So you find that this authoritative parent, they do a lot of, they spend a lot of time with their kids. They put a lot of effort on their kids. Like they're always there for their kids. But remember, they have rules, and these rules, they have made it clear to their kids that if the rules are broken, there will be consequences. So are you falling into that category? Are you falling into that category? And this, they are authoritative parenting. They normally discipline their kids with what can I say? There is called it's not like corporal punishment. It's a punishment, but it's like a learning experience. It's like a learning experience. For example, I would say like if it's my 5-year-old who was misbehaving, and I would put them in timeout. Like maybe I would tell them, go sit in the corner. Maybe they can sit, it goes with age. They can sit in the corner for 5 minutes. And then after those 5 minutes, I will call them, and then I will tell them, why were you told to sit on the corner? Like when you look at a child and you have put them by themselves, you have confined them in a corner for a few minutes, it makes them like rethink what they are doing. So are you that kind of a parent? So that is the second type of parent. We have the other type of parent who is very permissive. They tell you, they set all the rules, but they don't enforce them. And growing up from Kenya, I've seen people campaign, and because there are no checks and balances, there are no people to question what the politicians are doing, especially in Kenya. And I'm not here to badmouth politicians, but I know that happens a lot in Kenya, whereby these politicians, when they are looking when they are campaigning, they will give everything. They will set rules. They will come and read for you the constitution to the T. They will tell you, this is what we are going to do. This is what we are going to do for the villages or whatever. But when they get that seat, when they get into parliament, they forget about it. Everybody, senators, governors, whoever, even the presidents. They give all these promises, but when they are elected, they become permissive. They don't care anymore, They don't care. They vowed to follow the constitution, but they are not following they're not following with it. Now this is the kind of parent that I'm talking about, who sets out rules, but they do not enforce them. They don't give consequences. If something happens, if the kids misbehave, there are no consequences. It's not like they don't care. Is that they give too much freedom. That's what I would say. And I think I've seen that very, very much, especially after I grew up. And then, I had some of my kids in Kenya, and that rule of kids not to be questioned, not even to have consequences, it was going away. Whereby you could find that if a child went home and they told their parent that the teacher had said this, or they had asked them this, or they had beaten them up, the parent would go to school and start being very mean to that teacher. I had seen that happening. But for me, as personally, I think a teacher is a very important person, and I know that the way I am behaving towards my child about the teacher, the child catches it very fast. And when they catch it very fast, it determines on how my child is going to act towards the teacher. So for me, I think as a parent, your behavior about even your interactions and your discussions about the teacher should be serious, because the teacher should be taken as a parent. Because the teacher is an educator, the teacher is spending most of the time with the kids. And you find that at the moment you start bad mouthing the teacher, you find that the teacher knows everything that happens in your house. They know everything that's going on in your house. Do not think that your kids are angels. They're not angels. What happens is that whatever happens in the house, they go and tell their teacher in the morning. So by the time you're going there to badmouth the teacher, or you're going to be very mean to the teacher knows you inside out, because your kids have talked to the teacher and told them what's going on at home. So you should think twice when you're giving all that freedom to your children, because that's what is causing all that's going on in those high schools, whereby there are fires everywhere, they're burning. Like even to have children burning up the school and not thinking that their lives that are involved. I know part of it can be mental health, but still it comes from parenting. What I know is that there is always a root cause of something. Even if when the plants are failing, the failure is not on the leaves, it is always in the root. Something is going on underneath that needs to be addressed. And if it is not addressed, then you find that the whole plant will die. The whole plant will die. It's like if you have pneumonia. I'm a nurse, so I like going medically. If you have pneumonia and you're coughing, you find that if you go and get a cough syrup, you might stop coughing. But then, if you are not treated, maybe you're given antibiotics so that the root cause of that problem is addressed, you find that disease is not going to go away. What will happen is that it will still be there, and it's going to be worse. So it's the same thing. You find that if the root cause is not addressed, then these problems happen. Now, this permissive parenting, you find that they think that the child will learn best with little interference from them. Like, you don't have to ask them anything. They will learn on their own and they will do great. No, they will not. They will not do great, because you are there to guide. You're there to guide. And if you do not guide them, they do not they do not know how to thrive. You have to be there to hold on to them so that they can thrive. And sometimes you can be seen as a permissive parent, maybe depending on whatever that you're doing, or the life challenges, because you have so many life challenges. But it's always good, like, to sit down and reflect. Call yourself a small meeting and see what kind of parenting am I doing, or am I doing the right thing, or am I doing the wrong thing? Because everybody has their flaws. Nobody is perfect, and nobody is perfect. It's always good to do that, of which as most parents do not do that, because they either do not have time, or it is it hasn't occurred to them that they can be bad parents. But you can still be a bad parent, and you do not know whether you are a bad parent or whether you are a good parent. So it all depends on how you look at it. Now, the last one is you find that these kids they will struggle academically. They will have problems because they are allowed to do anything that they want. So they will not take their education seriously. So you have to look and see, you see with your kids or what's going on, and then there is always room for improvement. So you can always call yourself for a meeting and see, are you doing the right thing or are you doing the wrong thing? Now, I'm also going to talk about the last one, is the uninvolved one. This one, they don't ask about anything. They don't ask about what's going on in their child's life. They don't ask about school. They don't ask about friends of their child. They don't know anything about it, so the child can come and go anyhow they want, and they don't spend time with their kids. So this is another one. They're just there And you know, I used to see that a lot when we were growing up. There were those parents who were, they were just very much uninvolved. And you find that what I have learned and coming to live here in the US is that the kids notice, but they don't tell you when they are young. They don't. They're just quiet. But when they grow up, they will tell you, they will let you know whether you are there for them or whether you are not there for them. And when I talk about this, I talk about like growing up with a single parent. My other parent was very much uninvolved, like he didn't care, he wasn't there or whatever. So you find that when you grow up and you see, because you see, you know, when kids are growing up, the parents think that the kids are not seeing what's going on, but the kids always know who is the involved parent and who is the one who is not involved. They will know. They will know who is the parent who is ignoring them, and the parent who is, you know, there are some parents who just say something. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this for you. But at the end of the day, they are not gonna do it. But you know, they say that I will do it for you, but they are not gonna do it. But then you find that there is this one who doesn't say much, but they do a lot. So the kids, they don't need to be told, because you find that most parents and most relationships or most couples, they say, they blame the other partner and tell them that you are the one who told the kids about this and this and this. But you find that they have their brains and they think. So they will see, they will be able to distinguish between parent A and parent B. Who is the parent who is always like promising a lot of stuff and they don't do it? Who is the parent who they don't say much, but they go out of their way to do stuff, you know? That happens. So you will see, they will know who is the involved parent and who is the uninvolved one. So you find that, so in those first four categories, where do you fall in? Where do you fall in? And it doesn't mean that you are a bad parent, whether you are an authoritarian parent or whether you are an authoritative parent or whether you are a permissive parent or whether you are uninvolved. A parent is a parent. So you can always aim to do better, because maybe you are not doing the right thing because you do not know. Because it can be that you do not know whether you are doing the right thing or you are doing the wrong thing. Because there is no manual that you are given for you to be a good parent or whatever. There is no. But, you know, just by listening and just by learning a lot of stuff, then you will be able to know like where you can improve. Where are you going to improve in whatever that you are doing, so that you can make it best for your children? You have to be able to always call yourself for those small meetings and see, is there anything that I am doing wrong? Is there a way by my parenting is going wrong, and that is why these things are happening to my children? You see what I mean? So you have to be able to to do that. Now, you cannot be just in one category. You find that sometimes you are authoritative, sometimes you are you're considering your kids' feelings, sometimes you're permitting them to do stuff, and sometimes you are uninvolved. And especially you can be it can be an involvement because maybe you are caught up in your career, or you're caught up working. Maybe you know sometimes you have to work to provide for them. Those are things that you can consider, but it's always good to set up time and even to have discussions with them, so that you can know what are they lacking, or what are they needing. So as a parent, you should be able to sit down and look at that. Now, we have said, I gave you an overview of how I grew up, and now how the kids are being brought up right now, because the kids who are being brought up right now, even in Africa, they are just kids who are brought up and they are not told much. And that is why you're even finding, even it even changed so much that even when girls went to university, instead of them going to learn, they went to university, and then you find that that girl is maybe 19 years old, 20 years old, but they have a certain person who is 70 years old who they are dating, because that is their bank. And you find that what happens is that when the parent asks about where the whereabouts of the daughter, or maybe when they come with stuff in the house that they did not have money to buy, but you don't question, you find that those things are happening a lot in Africa. A lot of those things are happening. Even the young boys, you find that they are ending up dating those women who are 60 years, 17 years old, because of money. And you find that if your son comes driving a very nice car, and you know that they did not buy it, and you do not question them, You find them, you are leading them into failure, because even as a parent, and even if you have an adult child, you should always be able to step in and give your advice. Sometimes it will not be taken. It will not be taken because even them, they have their own mind. But if they ever fail in the process, they will remember that you were there and you were talking about it. You are telling them, this is wrong. You know what I mean? Even the little ones, you find that when you're taking them to school, you have to show them that the teacher has to be respected. The teacher has to be respected. The teacher holds authority. The teacher holds authority. And when they grow up, when they are little, knowing that the teacher has authority, then they will be able to grow up, go to high school, and listen to the rules, because the environment doesn't change. What changes is that the age of the kids change, and you have to know how to parent an adult child. When I look at my kids, I know how to parent my adult child, my preteen, my 5-year-old, and my 2-year-old. I have to look for ways to meet them in the pathway, just to have that that understanding and that good interaction. So there is no way that you can be parenting an adult child like a 2-year-old. At the same time, there is no way that you're going to be parenting a preteen like a 5-year-old. Of course, maybe like a 5-year-old, you can put in time out for 5 minutes, and you will know that you have to do it over and over again because they forget. But if you have a preteen, then you have to show them that actions have consequences. If they do this, then this is what is going to happen. They have to know. They have to start being responsible in their life. You have to be able to do all that. So if you want your children to be successful. Now, what are like some ways that you can do like to improve your parenting? You find that most of us, like especially when I grew up, I never received any praise from my parents. That you did a good job, nothing. But you find that kids thrive better when you praise them. So always look for those areas that they have done well. Even if they had done something wrong, always look for those areas where they have done well and acknowledge that they have done a good thing. That really goes a milestone. It really helps. It really helps your kind of parenting. Now, another thing is that you have to be able to give them that confidence. Give them that confidence. When they do not have confidence, make sure that you are there to lift them up. Even if they fail, make sure that you're there to tell them they did good, but the next time they can do better. But you cannot tell them that you did very bad, whatever. No, do not put them down. Nobody likes to be put down, and even kids are like that. So make sure that you are looking for ways to uplift them, even if you feel that they have not done good. Maybe let's assume, I was listening to this guy who was saying, instead of your child, even if they come home and they are the last in the class, instead of telling them that you are the last in the class, that you're good for nothing, what you can tell them is like, yes, I have seen your result, but why don't you try next time to be second last or third last? You see what I mean? So what you're doing is that you are not belittling them, but you're trying to tell them that there is room for improvement. You see what I mean? So that is how you should be. Even if they do something very bad, always show them that there is always room for improvement. You're trying to boost them. You're trying to tell them if you do better, you can do better next time. The other thing is that when you are setting up the rules in the house, because rules have to be there. Even countries are governed by the Constitution. When I living here in the U.S., and I always like to relate to my life here and what goes on outside here, is that you find that we have very strict traffic rules here in the U.S., very, very strict ones. And you find that if someone sees a police car, when I'm driving, and we are many drivers on the road, you can see maybe that one is driving at 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. But if the driver, the policeman, the police car is spotted anywhere, you can just see the uniformity of the speed of the drivers when they are driving. Everybody drives at 40. If it's a 40 miles an hour road, everybody drives at 40 miles an hour. You find that driver is upright, they are concentrating, and they're just following the rules. I just that's something that I have observed very well, because you find that when there is no policeman around, you find that there's one person who will overspeed or whatever. But if a police car is spotted, every driver is upright, and those cars go in motion, like everyone is driving to the speed limit that is allowed. The same case, Those rules. Because you find that if you overspeed, or if you don't put a signal or whatever, you will get a ticket. A ticket is money that you pay to the state because of breaking a law. So you don't want to pay that money. So the same case, you have to have rules in your house that have to be followed. And if those rules are followed, you find that your kids have a, they have a routine. They know that this is what we are supposed to do and this is what we are not supposed to do. So it's very, very, very good for you to have those limits, to tell them you cannot cross here, you can cross here, this is okay, this is not okay. You have to be able to tell them that as parents, so that you see, you set a good foundation for them. Another thing is that spend time with them so that you can know them. It's like, if kids, it's like friendships or it's like relationships. If you do not spend time with those people that you really care about, they lose interest in you. So no matter how busy life is, no matter how hard you have to work, you always have to create time to spend with them so that you can know what's going on with them, so that you can know when they are failing. You have to be able to create that time. I know when we grew up, our parents did not have time for us. It was crazy. Like, they didn't have time for with us. And you find that some of us do not know our parents very well because they didn't let us know them, who they were. So you find that in this century, you have to always be able to make time so that you can know them, you can know how they are growing, and also just even build that trust so that they can come to you when they have difficulties. Because if you do not build that trust with your kids, they will not come to you. And I've seen this one in very, very, very different families. You find that in couples whereby this child talks to one parent more than the other one, or they can confide in one parent more than the other one, especially when they're growing up. And you find that the other spouse blames this other one and says that maybe they have turned the kids against them. What happens is that the kids, like I said before, is that they are very observant and they see between you two who really cares, who is approachable. Now that one comes in when you make time for them, because if you do not have time for them, then what the hell are they going to talk with you? You see what I mean? So you have to be able to create time for them. Now, also you have to be a good role model. Whatever that you are doing, you have to work very, very hard. You have to make sure that you have a work ethic that your kids can follow, even if they fail. Because they will fail so many times. I've had my own troubles where my kids have failed, but I have always looked for ways to bring them up and just to help them, because I know that it is my responsibility for me to just to bring them up and just to help them to achieve their goals. So it's very, very important for you to do that. Also, you have, especially when they are, when they start talking, it doesn't matter even if they are 2 years. Now, like my 2-year-old is learning to talk, and I try to follow her conversation. She might not be like very fluent, but I can catch some words. So what I do when she talks, I follow the conversation. It's like we're having a conversation. Even if I do not understand, I respond to what she's saying. That starts the communication early. That way, as they grow up, they will want to talk to you. But you find that if you do not do that, they will not want to talk to you even when they grow up. They won't have time for you. So you have to have time to talk to them, ask them how they are doing, how their day was, or what's going on in their life. You have to be able to ask that so that you can know. Be their friend. Be their parent, but at the same time be their friend. When it comes to rules, enforce them. When it comes to having those discussions, even having fun with them, have fun with them so that they can come to you when they are having a difficulty or when they're having challenges in life. Another thing is that you have to be flexible and willing. Like you just want to be like accommodative a little bit, but that doesn't mean that you're breaking the rules. It's like you tell them, sometimes like you feel so bad, like very, very bad, especially when they have failed you. You have instilled these rules. You have tried to do all your best. You're trying to do other things to make them comfortable, but they still have disappointed you. And maybe sometimes they have even make you look bad, as a parent. But you find that you always have to give yourself time and Just give them room to improve, and as they change, you keep on telling them you're doing a good job, but and I know that you can do better. You see, I always have a bar higher of your expectations with your children, so that you do not them want them you do not let them like know that they have reached the end and they do not have to improve anymore. So it's very, very, very important for you to do that. Of course, the other thing that is very important, always show them that you will always be there for them. Show them how much you care about them. It's very, very important for you to do that as a parent, because if you do not love them as a parent, then who else is going to love them? Hmm? They are your kids. If you do not love them as a parent, you can buy them all the material things, you can bring all the money at home, but if you do not love your children, if you have not shown love to them, I like talking about even an animal. For example, if you have a cat or a dog in your house, and I've given this example so many times because if you have a cat and that cat comes to you for you to pet it, or a dog, and then you kick it, and then it comes again, and then you kick it, you find that the third time that cat is not going to come. It's going to stay at the corner where you are on this corner, because even animals, they have instincts and they know the people who love them. They do know the people who love them. It's the same case with your kids. Even when they grow up, they will always know. They will always know. So you always have to show them that unconditional love that you have for them, so that they can know that there's someone out there who really, really, really matters and they care about them, and also always be able to fulfill their needs. Whatever they want, fulfill it. Because I say, if you do not fulfill your kids' needs, there is someone out there who is waiting to fulfill for their needs, and it will come at a price. They will charge them a very high price. So if you see that they are straying, if it is this girl, they are in college, and that they are going out of the way to get other things from other places, you have to look for the way to accommodate. But you find that if they got lost when they were little, you were not observant when they were little, you are not going to be able to change them when they have grown up, because they have their own mind. That is why it is very critical, very, very critical when they are little, to make sure that you are molding them. You're molding them before they become, full-blown teenagers, who will not listen, who will think that they know better than you. So you find that you have to be able to start from the root. So why I did this is just a response, or my thoughts about the kids who are really rebelling. Right now the schools have been closed because the kids they are unmanageable. They are unmanageable. They cannot be managed. Now they will go back home to the parents. So as a parent, what are you doing wrong, and what can you do to improve? Because like I said, you cannot be perfect. Nobody is perfect in this world. But there is always a room for improvement as a parent. You can always improve. You can always, do better for your kids, because if you had them, if you chose to have your kids, then you have to be able to stand up for them. You have to be able to make sure that you are doing your best for them to grow up to be people of substance when they grow up. Now, guys, that's my opinion, and I hope that we are going to strive to be better parents, and even the kids, they are going to strive to be better people, because it doesn't help when you go out there and burn the school. It doesn't help when you go out there and violate all the rules. That is not going to help you as a child. Actually, it's going to ruin so many chances that you might have, because you might be arrested. You might end up killing a person, and if you kill a person, if you started the fire and the person died, that guilt conscience is never going to leave you. So before you act, or before you do something, what I say is that if you're very upset and you feel like your emotions are running away, it's always good to take a walk. Take a walk. Take a walk. If you feel like you're so upset, you're so angry, it's always good to take a walk, take deep breaths, and then when you come back, it always feels better when you come back. Because I've even practiced this by myself, because life sometimes puts you in places where you become very upset, you become very angry. But I have always learned to take a step back, take a deep breath, or take a walk, and then by the time you come back, you have calmed down and you are able to deal with the situation in an amicable manner. So I hope that this session is going to benefit someone. So again, this is Charities Baba USA, your number one channel. So I asked you a question: what's in my drink? I need you to tell me what's in my drink. Put it in the comment section, and then we shall see what's in there. So guys, thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best. God bless you, and stay safe.